Hey everyone, and welcome. We're diving into something super relevant for affordable housing providers in Connecticut today.
Okay, sounds interesting.
So picture this, right? You're a property manager in Connecticut,
Got it.
and everyone's talking about solar energy, go green, save the planet, all that.
Yeah.
But then there's the reality of it all. Costs and regulations, new programs every other week. It's overwhelming.
I bet. It's a lot to keep up with on top of everything else.
Totally. But that's why we're here. We're going to break down a time-sensitive opportunity. It could make going solar way easier than you think.
Okay, I like where this is going.
We found this document, 2025, the prime time for Connecticut's affordable housing to harness solar energy.
Interesting title.
Right. And it's got all this advice and real-world examples specifically for affordable housing.
I'm all ears.
Now, full disclosure, this document's from Nexus Energy, a solar company. So they've got skin in the game, for sure.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the info's no good. We're going to sort through it all, the hype and the facts. Sounds good. Okay, so why 2025? Why is this year so important for solar in Connecticut? Well, there's this new state program called RRES.
RRES, what's that stand for?
Residential Renewable Energy Solutions. And it's designed to make going solar, especially for affordable housing, super straightforward and affordable.
Okay, that sounds promising.
But, and this is a big but, things might change at the federal level soon, making solar less attractive financially.
So there's a time crunch.
Exactly. Right now, it's a sweet spot. The federal government's got this thing called the Investment Tax Credit, or ITC. It gives you 30% back on solar installations.
30%? Wow, that's significant.
That's potentially thousands of dollars back into your property.
I see. So that's a big incentive right there.
Huge. And then on top of that, you've got Connecticut's RRES program. It works alongside the federal tax credit.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. With RRES, you can get solar panels on your property without paying anything up front.
Hold on, no upfront costs.
No upfront costs, no debt, no liens on the property.
Seriously, that sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it? But it's real. The key is to understand how it works and why acting now is so important.
All right, I'm hooked. Tell me more about this RRES program. How does it work?
So, RRES was created specifically to support residential renewable energy in Connecticut.
Okay.
And it's a game changer, especially for affordable housing. It takes away that big financial hurdle that usually stops properties from going solar.
Makes sense. Those upfront costs can be a deal breaker.
Right. Most solar financing, you're talking loans, leases, or these power purchase agreements. And that just adds a whole layer of complexity and risk for a property's finances.
Right. You don't want to be adding to the financial burden.
Especially when you're dealing with affordable housing.
Exactly. Every dollar counts. So how does RES eliminate that?
Simple. No loans, no debt, no liens.
Oh.
It's designed to be as easy and risk-free as possible.
Okay, now I'm really interested. But we were talking about a ticking clock earlier. What's the deal with these potential changes at the federal level?
Right, that's the looming threat. So remember that 30% federal investment tax credit, the ITC.
Yeah, the big one.
There's a good chance it gets reduced, maybe even eliminated in the next few years.
Whoa, and if that happens?
Well, going solar gets a lot more expensive.
Yeah, without that 30% back, the financial benefits aren't nearly as attractive.
Exactly. For affordable housing providers who are already working with tight budgets, it could make solar just not make sense anymore.
So it's a race against time to get in on those incentives while they're still around?
You got it. 2025 is make or break time. If you want to go solar and get the most out of both the federal tax credit and the RRES program, you got to act now.
It's like a window of opportunity that might close soon.
Exactly. And to add to the suspense, this 2025, the primetime document, it's got a real-world example of how this works in practice.
Oh, a case study. I love a good case study.
Right. It brings everything to life.
Tell me more. What kind of case study?
Well, it features this 64-unit Connecticut Housing Authority property. They're already using a Nexus Energy solar project.
Okay. And they did this through the RRES program.
All through RRES. It's a perfect example of how this can work in the real world.
So this isn't just some theory. It's actually happening right now in Connecticut.
It is. And the benefits are very real. This project is estimated to save the tenants over $1 million on their energy bills over the next 20 years.
$1 million? That's incredible.
$1,300,000 to be exact. That's life-changing money for those residents. It's real financial relief month after month, year after year. And it's all thanks to solar energy and this RRES program.
Wow, that is impressive. What's the catch? There's got to be a catch, right?
Well, the catch is that time is running out. With these potential federal policy changes, that $1,300,000 in savings could shrink a lot if those tax credits go away.
Right, that makes sense. So the clock is definitely ticking. All right, before we jump into the nitty-gritty of how RRES works and how people can get started, let's hear more about that case study. I'm really curious about the specific benefits this solar project brought to the table.
Okay, let's dive in. This is where things get really interesting.
I'm ready. So this case study, it really shows how RRES helps both tenants and property owners. Like in this example, the tenants at that 64-unit property, they're seeing those huge savings, but the housing authority is also getting lease payments every year from Nexus Energy for the space the solar panels use.
So the housing authority is actually making money from the solar installation. That's amazing.
Right. It's a win-win for everyone. Sustainability and financial stability all in one. And there's another thing in this case study that's interesting. It shows that the more solar panels they put in, the more everyone benefits.
Oh, interesting. So it's like the more you do, the better it gets for everyone.
That's it. It makes you want to go all in, maximize those benefits while you can.
I'm starting to get the picture. So we've got this RRES program, makes going solar easy, everyone benefits. But there's a time limit because federal policies could change things up.
Yeah, you got it. And to really understand why acting now is so important, we need to kind of dig into these potential policy changes. Remember that 30% federal investment tax credit, the ITC?
Yeah, the big one.
Well, there's a real chance it could be, reduced or even completely gone in a few years.
And if that happens, it sounds like it would be a huge problem for solar projects, especially for affordable housing places that don't have a lot of extra money to work with.
Exactly. That 30% tax credit can be the deciding factor, makes it possible or not. Without it, solar gets a lot more expensive, and it takes way longer to see a return on your investment.
I see. So it's not just missing out on the money up front, it's the long-term effect on the properties.
That's it. And it's not only the ITC we have to think about. There could be changes to regulations, too, which, it makes things uncertain and makes planning solar projects more difficult.
Okay, so let's talk about those regulatory changes. What are we looking at? What kind of impact could they have?
Well, one thing to watch is guidance from the IRS and the Treasury Department. They're the ones who set the rules for how these tax credits and incentives work. If those rules change or if it's not clear what they mean, it can cause a lot of problems for developers and investors. Makes them less likely to want to do solar projects.
So it's not just the incentives themselves, it's about having clear and consistent rules.
Exactly. Consistency is really important for long-term investments like solar energy. And then there's also the bigger political picture to think about. If the federal government changes its priorities and shifts away from renewable energy and back to traditional energy sources, well, that could mean less funding, less support, and maybe even more obstacles for solar projects.
So it's almost like a perfect storm, right? There's great opportunity with RRES, but then these federal policy changes that could mess everything up.
That's a good way to put it. And
Yeah.
that's exactly why, we keep saying that acting now is so important. The opportunity is there, but who knows how long it'll last.
Okay, so let's go over the main reasons why taking action in 2025 is so crucial. Why is this year so important for affordable housing properties that are thinking about solar?
Okay, so first of all, if you act now, you can lock in the current incentives, both the state and federal ones. You're guaranteed to get that 30% federal tax credit, and you can take full advantage of the RES program while it's at its best. Don't wait and risk losing those benefits.
Get it while it's hot, right? What's the second reason?
Second reason is starting the process now reduces your risk. If those federal policy changes do happen, you'll be further along in the development process and likely to be affected by any, negative changes.
So it's about getting ahead of the game before things potentially change for the worse.
Exactly. And the third reason, well, it's all about maximizing the benefits. The RRES program, combined with the federal ITC, creates it's a really amazing opportunity to go solar with very little cost and the biggest impact possible. Don't miss this chance to do something good for your properties, your residents, and the environment.
It sounds like this might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? Everything's lined up perfectly to make solar energy affordable and accessible for affordable housing.
Yeah, it really does feel that way. And we don't want anyone to miss out on this chance to make a difference.
All right, I think we've made it pretty clear why acting now is so important. But I'm sure some people listening are thinking, okay, I get it. What's next? How do I actually get started with RRES?
That's a great question. And that's where Nexus Energy comes in. Remember that document we've been talking about? 2025, the prime time. Well, Nexus Energy is the company that put it together, and they've got tons of experience helping affordable housing properties go solar through the RRES program.
So they're the solar experts.
Pretty much. They know all the ins and outs of RRES, they've got a track record of success, and they really care about making solar energy available to everyone, especially those in affordable housing.
So if you're a property manager in Connecticut and you're thinking about going solar, Nexus Energy sounds like the right people to talk to. What's the best way to get in touch with them?
Well, they do free consultations, so it doesn't hurt to just reach out and chat. Their number is 860-432-6705, and you can also find them online at www.nexusenergy.com.
They're happy to answer any questions about the RRES program and how it all works.
Oh yeah, for sure. They can guide you through the process, figure out your property's solar potential, and help you come up with a plan that fits your specific needs.
Awesome. So there you have it, everyone. If you're a property manager in Connecticut and you've been considering solar, now's the time. 2025 is the year to make it happen. Take advantage of the federal tax credits, use the RRES program to your advantage, and team up with an expert like Nexus Energy to make your vision a reality.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You know, I'm starting to think that this whole solar energy thing might not be as complicated as it seems at first.
You're right. It really isn't. With the right programs and partners, going solar can be a smooth and rewarding experience.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about the benefits of going solar and why it's so important to act now. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on a bigger question. What about after 2025? Even if those federal tax credits go away, how else can we make affordable housing more sustainable in the long term?
That's a really important question to think about. Solar energy is a great solution, but it's not the only one. There are so many other creative ways we can make affordable housing more sustainable.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of ideas are out there?
Well, one area with a lot of potential is energy efficiency. We can do a lot more to use less energy in affordable housing, from simple things like using more efficient appliances and insulation to more complex things like smart home technology and what's called passive building design.
So it's about using energy more wisely, not just relying on renewable sources.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Water conservation is another big one. We can put in things like low-flow fixtures, shower heads and faucets, and even rainwater harvesting systems. And using drought-tolerant plants for landscaping can make a big difference in how much water you use.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with droughts becoming more common these days, so using less water inside and outside.
Exactly. And let's not forget about reducing waste. Affordable housing communities can have big recycling programs, start composting, and even try to use less single-use plastics.
It's like that whole zero waste movement, right? But can you really do that in affordable housing?
It's definitely a challenge, but it's a good one to take on. And it's not just about helping the environment. Reducing waste can also save money on, trash disposal and make the whole place cleaner and healthier for everyone living there.
It all sounds so positive. It feels like we're on the edge of a big change in how we think about affordable housing and sustainability.
I think so too. There's a lot of energy around this right now, and it's great to see people working together to create a better future.
And it's not just about these huge sweeping changes, right? It's all of the little things that add up.
Exactly. Every time we recycle, save water, or use less energy, we're making a difference.
Well said. So we've covered a lot in this deep dive on solar energy and affordable housing. We talked about the amazing opportunity with the RRES program, the possible challenges from those federal policy changes, and why it's so important to act now. We also learned about the great work companies like Nexus Energy are doing to make affordable housing more sustainable. But, most importantly, I think we've really started a conversation about why sustainability matters and how we can all be a part of it.
Yeah, and remember, even if the federal incentives change down the road, we don't have to stop there. We've just started to explore what's possible, and there are tons of other innovative ideas out there.
So let's keep learning, keep coming up with new ideas, and keep working together to create a future where affordable housing is not just sustainable, but thriving. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone, and we'll see you next time.